Feel free to be whoever you want to be. Feel free to dance, feel free to sing, just feel free. Feels like the world is picking on ya. Feels like it's picking on me. But trying to please everybody.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Two-Tone Talk podcast, episode 21. It is Super Bowl week, and it is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you are like me, Titans fans or fans of other teams, I hate them both. So if they just beat each other to death and they have to just call the game a tie, that'd be fine with me. I can't stand the Chiefs. I really can't stand the Eagles. So the only enjoyment I'm going to get out of this Super Bowl is knowing that one of them has to lose. So, there you go. But at the end of the day, I will probably end up rooting for the Chiefs just because I don't know if my heart can take watching A.J. Brown hoist up the trophy. I don't know if I can take it, all right? In the world of Tennessee Titans news, there are some major rumors to discuss. We still have no offensive coordinator. We still have, a ton of options there, but with still no hire, and that surprises me. Every passing week, I'm like, man, by the time I do another episode of this thing, we got to have an offensive coordinator, and we still don't. Makes me wonder if they're holding out hope of interviewing Eric Bieniemy with Kansas City because, he's obviously in the Super Bowl. He's not going to take any interviews until that's over with. Makes me wonder if they're holding out hope for him. I don't know. But this is the Two-Tone Talk podcast. We're going to talk about some Tennessee Titans rumors. This podcast is on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube. If you're listening out there, please go subscribe to Two-Tone Talk on YouTube. And go follow me at Two-Tone Talk on Twitter. So, let's talk Two-Tone. One of the options at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans as that discussion continues to rage on about what the Titans should do at the quarterback position next season. One of the major options that was thrown around was Tom Brady. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say Brady's not going to be the quarterback for the Tennessee Titans or anybody else. Tom Brady has officially retired again. He says for good this time. I believe him. I believe him. I think Brady's finished. I think he felt like he had one more run left in the tank in what was believed to be a wide open NFC. He looked old. He looked like he needed to go home, and that's what he's going to do. I don't think you're going to get a Brett Favre situation with Tom Brady where he keeps retiring and keeps coming back. I think he's going to go be an analyst. I think he's going to go make millions doing it. I think Brady's done. Everybody pretty much said what they had to say about Tom Brady last offseason when he retired, so you don't want to just harp on it again. But, upon Brady's retirement, you've got a bunch of ESPN analysts and people out there who are trying to get some clout on Twitter by putting out their crazy hot takes and all this stuff. There's no point in trying to make this anything other than what it is. Tom Brady is the greatest ever. He is the greatest winner that I've ever seen. You don't have to like the guy. You don't have to. You can admit that you've rooted against him, but he's the greatest to ever do it. The guy's played in 10 Super Bowls. And think about what I just said. The guy has played in 10 Super Bowls. That is, we're never going to see anything like that again. He's won 7 Super Bowls, and everybody tries to talk about the tuck rule, and if the Falcons hadn't blown that lead, and if the Seahawks had just run the ball with Marshawn Lynch, and you know what? Save it. If he had only won one Super Bowl, could make the case that it was luck. The dude's won 7. I'm sick of hearing it. You don't have to like him, but we're never going to see another one like Tom Brady. So happy retirement to him. And what that means for the Titans is you can check his name off the list. Tom Brady is a no-go. Now, the discussion's going to rage on because every other name is still on the list. Derek Carr, Jimmy G, Aaron Rodgers. And something that I have said was not going to happen, it was such a long shot, is the idea of the Titans trading up in the draft to grab somebody like Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Now, I have said since the word go, man, that sounds awesome, right? Of course, we're all like, yes, that would be amazing. But I have said since the word go, that feels like such a long shot to me. Just, what are the odds that they could pull that off? From number 11 to number 1, especially, hold on. Stop everything. For those of you listening, I'm on YouTube right now live streaming this podcast. And B Ravens 1, who's always in the chat, obviously a huge fan of the Ravens. Are you serious? This person, B Ravens 1, just said that the Ravens are interviewing Todd by God Downting to be their offensive coordinator. You gotta be... This is a joke. You are not serious. You are not serious. Please tell me that you're kidding. The Ravens are not interviewing Todd by God Downting. There's no way. I'm looking it up on Twitter right now. I'm not seeing anything about it. I don't believe it. I think you've got some bad sources there, B Ravens 1. I don't believe that. Let's try Todd Downing Ravens. I'm not saying anything about it. Take a deep breath, B Ravens 1. I don't think Todd Downing's getting an interview with the Ravens. I was about to say, ain't no way John Harbaugh is that out of his mind. Anyway, back to the draft. Sorry about that, everybody. Back to the draft. Everybody's toying with the idea, should we trade up? Will we trade up? Can we trade up? From 11 to 1, bypassing teams like the Panthers, the Colts, teams like that who are in much better position, let's be honest, to trade up with Chicago. Chicago's made it clear they're trying to trade out of that position. They have no need for a number 1 pick because they're going to ride with Justin Fields. So, yeah, they're going to be interested in trading out. How much are they going to want? I don't know. What has made these rumors really heat up is that a report got out there, and I believe it was from somebody, so B Ravens 1 has clarified that it was a tweet that was deleted. So that sounded like somebody trying to pull a prank. Anyway, there was a tweet that went out from a Chicago Bears reporter, somebody that covers the Bears, that said there have been teams inquiring already about trading up to number 1, and one of those teams was the Tennessee Titans from number 11. It also said that the Colts and the Texans had not even reached out to the Bears about the possibility of trading up. The Colts are picking at 4. Texans are picking at 2. Now, I personally think the Texans are not going to trade from 2 to 1 because they're at number 2, and the Texans, they're going to be able to get whoever number 1 doesn't get. So I think they may just, unless it becomes clearly obvious that either Bryce Young or CJ Stroud is just way better than the other, I think Houston's going to stay right where they are. But Indianapolis, they seem in prime position to trade up. Carolina, I think they're at pick 7 or 8. They're in prime position to trade up. There's some other interesting teams. Seattle's in there. I mean, if they are looking for quarterback, they could trade up. So That's why I say it's a long shot that Tennessee could do it. But clearly, if these reports are true, the Titans are at least kicking the tires on the idea, and the reports are that they're particularly impressed with C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. And it's something to watch. I just, the report that said, the Colts and the Texans haven't even inquired about trading up yet. I understand that, but keep in mind, it's early February. The Super Bowl hasn't even been played yet. Like, just because these teams haven't reached out yet doesn't mean they're not going to. I mean, we've got 2 months, over 2 months until the draft. So, just because Indianapolis, for example, has not reached out to Chicago about what they want to trade, does not mean that they're not going to. Like, they're going to. And I don't know what Tennessee would have to give up to get up there. I mean, to jump all these teams, it would have to be multiple first rounders. Or are you willing to get rid of a player like Jeffrey Simmons or Derrick Henry? And I don't think they are. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons had a meeting with Rand Carthon this week where Carthon told him, like, you're one of my top priorities. This offseason is getting a deal done with you. Now, it's the NFL, and it's a business, and things happen, and nothing's ever a sure thing, as we learned last offseason with Arthur Juan Brown. But it would seem as though the Titans want to keep Jeffrey Simmons. I absolutely believe they want to keep Derrick Henry. So I just, if you're going to jump all those teams to get up there to number one, I mean, you're going to have to give up multiple first-round picks. Are you willing to do that? And I'll say this now, and people have been saying this on Twitter, and I totally agree. For Rand Carthon to come in, take the job, and one of your first acts of business is to just be aggressive and going up there to number one, you want to talk about, I mean, this guy has got some stones if he's going to do that. Because if it backfires and whoever you draft turns out just doesn't pan out, or if they get hurt, I mean, you're taking a huge risk right off the bat. Unless it's a deal where Amy Adams Strunk has specifically said, I want you to do this. I mean, you're talking about right off the bat, you're going to do this? Woo! Goodness gracious. The fact that the Titans have inquired about it doesn't surprise. I mean, I think everybody is going to inquire with Chicago. I mean, you don't see this every year where a team's picking number one that is absolutely more than willing to trade out. I mean, we don't see this often. So everybody is going to be at least inquiring about it. So the fact that the Titans have inquired about it, that doesn't necessarily make me say, oh, we're going to do it. But, you'd be dumb not to inquire about it. And I think, it might serve as encouragement to Titans fans that, hey, Rand Carthon, Mike Vrabel, I mean, these guys understand, they need to do something. Somebody in the YouTube chat said, Titans are nervous about what's coming in the division. Titans haven't had an elite quarterback since Steve McNair. It's either this or tank, because if you want to keep up with the great teams, you need a quarterback. And I agree with that. It's a quarterback-driven league. And I think, honestly, the Titans are in a position where if you don't make an aggressive move and jump up there and grab one of these young guys that are supposed to be really good, like Bryce Young, like C.J. Stroud, look at where we stand. The Jaguars already have Trevor Lawrence, and he's looking like he's going to be something else, okay? If he keeps building on what he did in the second half of the regular season, the Jags have their guy, right? The Texans are going to take one of these guys because they're picking at number 2, and the Colts might very well be in a position to jump up there and take the other one. So, I mean, you could have the Colts taking Bryce Young and the Texans taking C.J. Stroud, and the Jags already have Trevor Lawrence. And if you're the Titans, you're sitting here saying, okay, we better do something. Like, it's not good enough to just come back with Ryan Tannehill. If these three, if Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud end up being good, God help us. Like, it could be a long few years here in this division. So I absolutely think the pressure's on for Tennessee to try to potentially be really aggressive. I'll tell you another thing, that people are still throwing around, and I don't blame you, but I just think it's a long shot as well, is that the more time that goes by, and I'd be Ravens 1, you're in the chat here, I'm beginning to wonder if the Ravens are going to be able to strike a deal with Lamar Jackson. I'm starting to really wonder. Because, I think the reports are he's already shot down their first offer, and, reports are that what they offered him isn't even close to what he wanted, money-wise. And I'm beginning to think that Lamar Jackson may not be in Baltimore next year. I'm beginning to wonder. And if he's even remotely available, it's kind of the same thing as inquiring with Chicago about the first pick. You're an idiot not to at least call and say, hey, how much you want, man? Now, with the cap space being what it is, I do not think the Titans are in a position to go get Lamar Jackson. I don't think, money-wise that they're in a position to do that. He's a free agent. He wants to get paid big money. And I don't think the Titans can do that right now. I mean, they have a lot of guys that they can release to open up some cap space, but not enough. Especially if you're going to try to get a deal done with Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, it's not going to happen. But we can dream. Everybody on Twitter, is kind of trying to make a case that the Titans could pull that off, or I would say almost the idea of trading up to number 1 is more likely than landing Lamar Jackson. I think the draft trade is more likely than Lamar, because at least with the draft, you can just keep trading stuff to eventually convince them that they should do it. With a free agent, he just wants his money, and you can't just create money out of thin air, with cap space being what it is. So I think the trade in the draft is more likely, much more likely, than the idea of landing Lamar Jackson. Obviously, the Aaron Rodgers option is still there. If he plays, which I'm leaning toward, I'm leaning toward the fact that he's not going to retire. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be somewhere. I think he will be traded somewhere, and I think he's going to be able to take his pick. Obviously, the Jets have emerged as a place where he could go. The Raiders have emerged as a place where he could go. I don't know what right now the appeal would be of Rodgers going to Tennessee. He likes Mike Vrabel, I'm sure, but I don't know what the appeal is of that right now. Because that's the thing. You talk about money, you talk about, getting a guy like Lamar Jackson, or getting a guy like, trading up in the draft to get these guys. Let us not forget, as we become so tunnel vision on the quarterback position, and I get that, don't forget how much other stuff on this team needs to be fixed. Okay, we're sitting here talking about, let's trade everything we got to get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, and I get it, and we're talking about, let's pay Lamar Jackson this insane amount of money, but also, we had the worst offensive line in the league, so we gotta fix that, right? We have not many, we don't have very much wide receiver talent, so we gotta fix that. Our secondary, looked a little spotty for much of the season, so we need some help there. So, there's a lot that needs to be fixed, and so, yeah, I'm all about let's put our tunnel vision on the quarterback position because that is the most important position on the team. Absolutely. But it really doesn't matter who you have in there at quarterback if there's nobody that can protect them and if there's nobody that can get open and can get separation and make plays down the field, then none of that matters. So, I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen here, and I don't know if it can all be accomplished in one off season. You've got to totally remake. I mean, if you read Jim Wyatt, who is one of the main reporters for the Titans, he is not of the belief that they're going to bring right guard Nate Davis back. So, like, you're talking about a, like, near complete rebuild on the offensive line because, like, left tackle, them re-signing Lawan is a long shot, and without him, like, you know, we don't have anybody else, so there's that. Ben Jones may very well retire if they don't re-sign Nate Davis. I mean, that's 3 key positions you've got to fill. I don't know if anybody's that convinced that Aaron Brewer is an automatic, like, let's bring him back. I don't know. I mean, I guess Nicholas Petit-Frere, because he was a rookie, like, okay, there's one position filled. But you're looking at a complete rebuild for an offensive line. You're looking at a wide receiving group that, outside of Traylon Burks, needs a complete rebuild. So you want to take care of that while re-signing Jeffrey Simmons, while working out a deal for Derrick Henry, which I don't know if they have to do that. I think Derrick Henry's just got another year, so unless he, like, demands a trade, whatever. But you're going to try to rebuild an O-line, rebuild a wide receiving group, work out a deal with Jeffrey Simmons, potentially try to trade up to pick number 1 and get a quarterback, or, pull off some blockbuster trade for Aaron Rodgers, or, try to put every cent that you have into getting Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's like, I just fear sometimes that we're just asking a little too much for one off season. I don't know if it's doable without just something catastrophic happening. So, I mean, we're going to see. I think that I think we can probably mark the Trey Lance thing off the radar. I think with the way things ended for the 49ers, I don't think they're getting rid of Trey Lance. So I think we could probably mark that off. I've heard some rumors about Jimmy G. Not going to lie, that doesn't particularly excite me. Jimmy G does not excite me. So I don't know, but there's a lot that needs to be done, and Rand Carthon, the new GM, he's got his work cut out for him immediately, and so does Vrabel, and so does the entire crew as we start barreling toward the draft. And obviously they got to still get an offensive coordinator, so there's that too. So want to talk about the Super Bowl. I mentioned earlier, I hate both of these teams that are playing in the Super Bowl. The only joy that I have is that A, one of them's going to have to lose, and B, maybe Rihanna will do a good job on the halftime show. Like, that's about the only joy that I will take out of this Super Bowl on Sunday. With that being said, let's talk about it. Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. That's a great quarterback matchup. Weapons all over the field for Philadelphia. Don't we know it? And I was thinking about who I was going to pick to win this thing. In my heart of hearts, to me, I hate to say it, the Eagles just feel like that team of destiny. They feel like the team of destiny to me. Now, I will say I'm a little hesitant to overwhelmingly pick them because they have had kind of a cakewalk. I think the Chiefs are going to be the toughest team that they've played in God knows how long, maybe all year. But it just something about, they just got that mojo about them, that confidence, that swagger. I just feel like the Eagles I feel like the Eagles are going to win the game. And I feel like for Titans fans, it's going to be tough to watch A.J. Brown, lifting up that trophy, man. And I hope, like I said, I hope John Robinson's watching. Because without that A.J. Brown trade, I don't know if the Eagles would even be in the Super Bowl. He's been a major contributor. Maybe not in the playoffs. He hasn't done too much in the playoffs, but you look at his stats in the regular season, I don't think the Eagles would be in this position if they hadn't made that trade for A.J. Brown, because he is a game changer. He's a season changer. He's an organization changer. He is a valuable asset. And somebody in Philadelphia was smart enough to know that. And somebody in Tennessee was stupid enough not to. I'm sorry to get into that again, but it has been nearly a year since that happened, and it makes less sense now than ever. Oh, God. I'm picking the Eagles. I don't want to. At the end of the day, I'm probably going to root for the Chiefs, but I think the Eagles are going to win the game. I just think they feel like that team. They feel like the team of destiny. All right, so I'm going with the Eagles. Bad as I hate to do it. The search for an offensive coordinator continues. The Super Bowl is coming up Sunday. Rumors about... And here's the thing about the quarterback rumors for Tennessee and for everybody else. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but the draft is still over 2 months away. So, we're going to be having this conversation for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And that's just going to be what it is. We're going to be having this conversation forever, seemingly. Because, it's not like NFL free agency and trades and all that start anytime soon either. So, we're just going to be talking about it forever. And there'll be new rumors every week. And that's just how it is. I vote that the NFC takes some of these AFC quarterbacks off of our hands so that we can stop having to think about them all the time. Because the NFC, they ain't got nothing to worry about quarterback-wise over there. They just got nothing. Meanwhile, the AFC's languishing, knowing we got Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Jackson, maybe Rodgers coming over. It's ridiculous, man. This is the Two-Tone Talk podcast. We're staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. I appreciate all you guys tuning in. A little shorter episode today, but it is what it is. I hope you all enjoy the Super Bowl this Sunday. And go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Two-Tone Talk Podcast. Go follow me on Twitter at Two-Tone Talk. And let me know what you think about this quarterback situation. Do you think the Titans are going to trade up in the draft? Do you think they're going to make a big move? What moves are they not going to be able to make because they're just not going to have enough money or resources? Let me know. Thank you guys for joining me. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Stomp them in the ground, said to stomp them in the ground. You need to stomp them in the ground. They always got something to say now. Yeah, never satisfied.